What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Kentucky Derby Draw. Here we go. We are about 5 minutes away from when this is supposed to start. We'll see if it actually does. One of the most important parts of the Derby. Obviously, you got to get in here. You got to qualify, but where you draw matters. Certain posts have a lot more success over the time. We're going to see where each of these horses end up drawing today. Aaron, I know you're a big proponent on the draw here. We've been talking this morning about how tough this race is and how hard it is to figure out the pace and how many of these horses struggle from breaking. When you're looking up and down this list, what is the one horse you are most interested in seeing what post position they get?
Oh, what a great question to lead it off. And boy, it doesn't really going to make just a massive difference this year, this post position. Every year it's important. This year it's extra important because they all kind of look similar when you kind of break them down and really look at them. I think the post position for Tapit Trice would be my answer to the question. It's make or break, I think, for this. I know he's won from the inside before. He can't win the Kentucky Derby from the inside. He's just the way he breaks, the slowest horse maybe of all from the break. Well, you better get outside or you're going to get in big trouble because if you're inside and you break like he breaks, you're coming from last. So he has to draw extremely well today. That's the big key horse.
Yeah, I watched every single replay of every single horse this morning for this race. That's how I spent my morning. And one of the things that jumped out at me is how many poor breakers we have in here. Tapit Trice struggles to break. You've got Practical Move, who gets out pretty well generally, but then kind of pushes forward. Tapit Trice seems to be a logical answer. He cannot draw inside or outside to be able to really make or break this thing. Papa Dude, I know you're on Forte right now in this one.
Yes.
Prior to the draw here, where do you want to see Forte draw? Where do you think is his ideal position?
Anywhere between 5 and 11, I think, would be fine for him. Don't you think King's Barn is another one that needs to get a pretty good draw? I mean, what happens if he gets the one?
Yeah.
Him being speed like that.
Well, that's actually a good question, because do we really think he's speed? I mean, I think that kind of forces your hand here. If you're Kings Barnes and you draw the one, you're probably going to have to go forward. But is he fast enough, Aaron, to even make the lead if he's got from that one post?
If he draws the one, Papa Dude, I think his hand is forced. He must break faster than he's ever broke before. He must go to the front or he's going to get shuffled back. If you want your ideal trip, and I think that ideal trip for Kings Barn is kind of what you laid out, Somich, give him, stalking in second, third, fourth, kind of in that flight, but not right up on that lead getting burned out. I don't think you want the rail. I think you're going to want maybe what you said there, Papa Dude, 6 through 12, 5 through 11, something like that would be perfect for him as well. I don't think he's totally dead if he draws an inside post like a Tapit Trice or even a Forte for that matter as well. I think he's in big trouble if he draws inside. And that's kind of the interesting thing about what we're seeing with this Derby. In Somich, you said it off air, and none of these horses really break well. None of these horses really fly out of the gate. So your contenders, or at least your top contenders, are horses that are going to come from out of it this year. And that's very interesting when you think about previous years where 8 out of the last 10 Derbies, speed really won this thing. The controlling speed, whether it be gate to wire or whether it be a horse that's stalked in second and third, but you knew the whole way around, yeah, he's the best horse right now that's kind of controlling things while there's a couple of really fast-paced setters up front.
Now let's talk a little about Kings Barnes and the jockey carousel that happened with him. We have Kings Barnes finally announced that Jose Ortiz will be riding yesterday, but man, it took a long time to get that information out. Pratt rode him in the Louisiana Derby to that victory. Pratt is on Angel of Empire. He decided to ride Angel of Empire pretty much immediately after the Arkansas Derby win. Papa Dude, how concerned are you about a horse that it takes this long to get a jockey, even though you do get a very, very good one in Jose Ortiz, and that another very good jockey immediately chose another horse over this one?
Yeah, that is an issue. But Pratt usually rides for Cox, right?
Yeah, he's rode his big ones before. Yeah.
And so I don't have a problem with him not riding this horse because he's Cox's guy. I think the question is, why did it take so long? What do you guys think on that? You know more than I do about it. Why did that take so long? But he did get a good jockey.
Mm-hmm.
I think the issue with Kings Barnes is how experienced is he? How's he going to handle this? He has not raced very much,
Well,
and but neither had Justify.
it's interesting that this is his fourth different jockey.
Yeah,
Too. He
that
got
is weird.
Baez, he got Gallardo, he got Pratt. Now he has Jose Ortiz. And you're right. You list those four jockeys. Gallardo at Tampa, that's who you want at Tampa.
Yeah,
He's gotten four excellent jockeys, but
Yeah.
he's still fourth race, fourth different jockey. It's very strange.
that is really weird.
Yeah.
To me, part of the Kings Barnes thing here is, and this is, I don't know what I'm going to do with Kings Barnes yet. I was against him before I watched all the replays. Watching all the replays, I kind of agree that he can break well. He was using tactical speed in the Louisiana Derby, didn't have to go faster than he did. I don't think he's going to get that trip. I don't think he's going to get the lead. But the biggest issue for me is I don't know how good he is.
Yeah.
Because in his maiden breaking score, the rest of that maiden race has been awful back. In his second win, he beat a horse named Mikey Bananas, who ran second to last, I think it was, in the Tampa Bay Derby.
Yeah.
And then in his third race, he didn't really get tested. And so the information you have on Kings Barnes doesn't feel complete, Aaron.
No, not at all. You're absolutely right. And like I said, the maiden score at Gulfstream, it was a good race, but not a wow type of race. But that's okay. Sometimes you don't want just a crazy race in that first performance. I thought the race at Tampa was fine, but again, you didn't learn a thing. And you really didn't learn a thing in the Louisiana Derby. And by the way, Disarm runs second in that race. And we all thought, hey, that was a really good race from Disarm. He was a distant third in the Lexington. The next time he ran, talking about Disarm, he wasn't even close to First Mission or Arabian Lion for that matter. So how good was the race in Louisiana? I'm not sure. And he got things his own way. So he is so interesting because he does project to have that trip that wins a lot of derbies. But is he good enough? And that is what you get into when you talk about any of these horses. Are they good enough? From these speed horses, they haven't really shown it. But you look at like Derma, you look at Kings Barnes, Reincarnate. They do look like horses that can win on the lead and have that Derby winning trip.
All right, we are drawing for the Oaks right now. It looks like Wonder Wheel, the first out of the gate here, going to draw the 5 post. So Wonder Wheel going to be sitting in the 5 after winning the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies last year. 5 post, pretty good spot there for Wonder Wheel. I'm most interested to see where Southlawn and Wet Paint draw right now. I think they're the two that I'm focused on here heading into it. I think Botanical has a shot as well. Aaron, are there any horses that you're specifically looking for as Wet Paint draws the 7?
Well, I think this is interesting, and Wet Paint with a 7. I mean, that's perfect. You can't hope for anything more than that. I like Wet Paint a lot for this race. I don't know that it really mattered where she's going to draw. She's going to drop back to last no matter what, but 7 is fine. Southlawn is the other one I like. We'll see where she's at. I'm really interested to see the morning line as well for this race to kind of see what prices we might be able to get on some of these horses. And by the way, I just want to mention, I think it was Truth Exposed mentioned, Flavian Pratt has the mount on Wet Paint, who was going to be the Kentucky Oaks favorite before all this Derby stuff unfolded. So it could have been as simple as, hey, Brad Cox has got me on Wet Paint. Maybe I'll just jump on Angel of Empire as well.
Yep.
Yeah, that's an excellent point there. The Alley's Look draws the 2 posts here for Brad Cox, Javier Castellano going to ride. I agree with you. I'm interested to see what the prices are going to be. I was surprised right now overseas. You're seeing 7-2 on Wet Paint, and you are seeing 7-1 on Botanical as your 2 favorites. I don't think you're going to see those odds on either of those horses come race day. Papa, do there any horses in this field that you're specifically looking at and interested in where they draw?
Well, I was looking at 7, and I'm going to agree with Aaron on Wet Paint. I was talking about 7 posts there. I don't think it matters where he drew or she drew, really, because she's going to be dead last. And that's a concern for me in this race with 14 horses. She's going to have that good trip and not get boxed in somewhere coming from dead last. So what do you think about that 11 there on Defining Purpose?
I'm not as concerned about posts in the Oaks. Obviously, it matters, but to me, the 20 horses in the Derby is much more difficult to deal with than the 14 in the Oaks. And we are going to have a full field of 14. I think it was either 2 or 3 AEs in this race as well, or 4 AEs in this race. So you're going to have entries that will, 3 A's in this race. You're going to have entries that will pop in here if someone does defect heading into it. South Lawn draws the 4 post. That's a great spot for South Lawn there in the 4. Should be coming from a little bit off the pace in this spot. From a pace perspective, Aaron, who do you think wants to go here?
Oh, that's a great question. I think your pace is a little bit muddied in here, more so than even the Derby. I don't know. There's not a lot of true speed horses. I would think Wonder Wheel is one that they've got to just flat out send this horse this time, get the position early on. I mean, and so I think Wonder Wheel is going to set the pace. Botanical, I think, is going to be out there as well. Pretty Mischievous is going to be adding blinkers. I see there. This is a horse that can be forwardly placed, but I think Botanical, I think Wonder Wheel, those are 2 horses that need to get out and need to go.
Pretty Mischievous drawing the 14. I think now with adding blinkers and that 14 post means you're probably going to want to send as much as you can to try and save ground into that turn. So I think Pretty Mischievous just became a pace factor there with that specific draw. We'll see what happens there. So we're done with 7 of the Oaks horses here. They're going to take a little bit of a break before jumping in here. Yeah, no kidding, right? Thanks, Magic. Good one. Look, this feels like, to me, an easier race to handicap than the Derby this year.
Yeah,
I have a better grasp, even though this Oaks prep races have been a mess. I feel like I have a better grasp now that we're here. And to me, it's a 3-horse race here: South Lawn, Wet Paint, and where's the third one? Oh, South Lawn, Wet Paint, and Botanical are the 3 that I'm interested in. Botanical, let's talk a little bit about. Still on the board, still looking to draw somewhere. We've got the 1, the 3, the 6, the 8, the 10, the 12, and the 13. Where do you think Botanical wants to draw, Aaron?
I think one of those middle posts is where you're always going to want to draw. I think that's always going to be the answer. Of course, Botanical is a horse that can be forwardly placed. So even if she draws the rail, it's not ideal, but it's not the worst thing that could ever happen to her. In these bigger fields, if somebody that likes to kind of sit mid-pack-ish draws the rail, that's what I really hate, because all of a sudden they're not going to be sitting mid-pack. They're going to be back a little bit further than that. So I think Botanical is going to be okay. She doesn't want that far. You don't want 12. You don't want 13. That's certainly not what you want for Botanical. By the way, I thought South Lawn, I think the 4 post is a really good draw for her. If you remember that last race, kind of tucked back right on the rail, saved all the ground. And then once they tipped her out, it was lights out for that field down at New Orleans at the fairgrounds. I think she gets that similar trip, guys. I think she can kind of just sit, kind of maneuver over towards that rail, sit where she wants to, get her comfortable. And then I think Raylu will be able to swing her out top of the lane. And I think if she's got that same kick, she's going to be tough. I thought that's a really good draw for South Lawn.
Raylu been riding phenomenal the last month and a half or so. He's been one of those jockeys that's definitely been up and coming. We saw him do very well as a bug and then kind of head down to the Texas circuit, ride well there, and now he's starting to see him at Keeneland. You're starting to see him at Fairgrounds. You're starting to see him show up at Oaklawn, and he's been riding well wherever he goes. Papa Dude, original thought or first take here on what we've seen 7 horses into this draw.
I don't think there's anything. The one that would concern me, because I really like Pretty Mischievous. I like that horse, but I don't like that draw. She is going to have to really get out, and I don't like that draw for her. And I like that horse. I really like Botanical a lot. Well, it's going to be interesting to see where she gets. What do you guys think? Did I read this right? This will be her first time on dirt.
Yeah, it'd be first time this year running all those races on the synthetic at Turfway. Yep.
Yeah, so we'll see. Oh, there we go.
Well, there's the answer. She got the 6 post. That's a good post.
It's
that's
perfect.
A really good post for her. Yeah.
Yeah, if she could pick from one on the board, I think it was 6 or 3. So that's a great spot there for Brad Cox. Botanical.
We got Jared joining us too.
What's up, Jared? How's it going?
What's up, boys?
Oh, you sound good, Jared.
Good. I'm glad you're here. I don't have to say much now.
No, I saw Papa Dude was on here. And I thought, well, shit, I can just sit off this and watch.
No. Thank God you're here.
What did I miss? Are they drawing for the Oaks?
You didn't miss much.
And the 8 post
has
here.
The winner drew. Oh, I see post 7. All right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Promise for America draws the 8.
Okay.
Yeah, Wet Paint's in the 7. Wet Paint and Botanical both get pretty good posts in the 6 and the 7. South Lawn the 4. Pretty Mischievous the 14. Probably the toughest draw for anybody right now. Jared, did you have a pick here going into the draw in the Oaks?
I mean, you and I talked a little bit about it the other day. I think it's wet paint, right? I don't have a lot of. I'm having a hard time. Like, I feel like in the Derby, I feel a lot better about taking a swing against the favorite. I'm having a hard time doing that in this one, especially how we've seen the Oaks this year. The Oaks preps, I should say.
Yeah, it's wet paint looked very good the two times that we've seen her, the last two races specifically. So she's going to be tough in here. Should get a decent pace setup as well. So we'll see how the pace plays out. But that, again, pretty mischievous draw in the 14 Natty Blinkers should put the horse more forwardly placed. Dorth Vader. This is an interesting one. Won at a monster price at Gulfstream Park. Draws the 12 post here. Yates Saez going to be the trainer and the jockey here. Aaron, Dorth Vader's mile race was very impressive, but going 2 turns, you saw a little bit more of a struggle. You any concerned about the distance here for her?
Yeah, I do. And I thought last time out, she was kind of running that type of race again and just kind of flattened a little bit. Got beat by the Affirmative Lady, who was fantastic in that last race, but here they are. I don't like these posts for either one of these horses. I think these are 2 fringe contenders who drew poorly. And, same with Papa Dude said with the 14 Pretty Mischievous, that's a horse that I thought was more than just a fringe contender. She draws poorly too. So if you liked wet paint, if you like Botanical, if you like South Lawn, you probably like them even more right now as you see this draw.
Yeah, Jared, I would say this is a favorable draw for your favorites. All of those, as Aaron said, fringe contenders, not in the spots they want to be. However, your favorites all drawing very well in the 4, the 6, and the 7.
Yeah, I mean, there's really no. Well, and in any case, I mean, it's not like the Derby where you have a lot of excuses in the Oaks as far as post positions go, whereas you do in the Derby. But still, to that point, my concern with wet paint is, and I think it's everyone's concern is, I hate her style, right? She just is like one of those that when she comes from way out, which can win in the Oaks, we know that. But it is a little bit concerning when you feel like you have, midway through the race, you're gonna be like, well, she's got to pass, 10 other horses.
Yeah, we know she's going to be coming from off the pace. Todd Pletcher's Gambling Girl draws the 3, and that will complete the post draw here for the Oaks. We're going to get the morning line odds shortly. I'm very, very interested to see what both the morning line and the off odds are going to be here for wet paint, who I think is going to be your favorite. Aaron, you want to take any guess at what you think we're going to see here from a morning line perspective?
Well, I think we're going to see 5-2. I think that's my guess, about right around 5-2, and then I would think Botanical might be your second choice based on kind of the hype of what we've been seeing. So yeah, I think 5-2 on wet paint was probably where we're going to probably land. I think she goes off a little bit lower than that though once we actually get to post time.
Yeah, what would you play her? Like, I mean, like what's your playable odds on her?
Probably 5-2, somewhere in that range. I don't want to get much. Look, I respect Botanical and Southlawn. I think they're both pretty good horses, and this is a fairly good field. And outside of wet paint, though, you haven't seen the consistency you want to see. I think Wonder Wheel's a little interesting here as well. Should be able to sit right off the pace and has won these big races before. I mean, she's your juvenile fillies champion, so we know that she can get the job done. I am not going to sit here and say, hey, at 8-5, I'm trying to pound it. You know what I mean? Like that seems to be a little bit too low. So I would want around 5-2 here if I'm playing wet paint.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably the same. I went back and watched Blind Luck when she won the Kentucky Oaks, because I feel like that's what wet paint's going to have to do, what Blind Luck did that day. And boy, it took every single inch of that stretch for Blind Luck to get up and win that race. And so I think that's what you're going to have to see. And that's the worry. It's not 20 horses, but 14 is still a lot. She's going to have to weave through them. The worry is a horse like Southlawn gets the jump, or Botanical gets the jump and she just can't get there. But yeah, she just still deserves to be the favorite. 5-2. Yeah, I agree with that. That's probably about as low as you want to take on her.
Let's talk a little about And Tell Me No Lies, because this horse has come up a bunch of times throughout the process of qualifying for this race. She's coming out of California. She is a horse that has won in one of these preps, but not been dominant in them. Jared, do you have any interest here in And Tell Me No Lies?
Not really. Mild interest, I would say. Underneath, maybe. I'm not a huge fan of what we've seen out west. Really, either side of of it. So I'm not totally sold on that, but I think the odds will be right. I just I'm not totally convinced on that horse.
I know Dr. Miranda liked this horse at the rail here a little bit in workouts. So
Yeah, said she was like, if you haven't watched that, by the way, if you guys haven't watched Dr. Miranda does a live report at the track, it's pretty entertaining and knowledgeable as well. It's got a little good info. But yeah, she said this one looked like she was a real big horse, real big filly. It looks like she could have ran with the boys.
Yep.
I love how they're going to read the odds in alphabetical order. Why don't we just do it in post position order?
Oh, good Lord.
That'd be too hard, Somich. Then you'd have to.
Unbelievable. Alphabetical order. You got to be
There's
kidding me.
Botanical 4-1.
Yeah, if Botanical's 4-1, Wet Paint's got to be 5-2, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, I would think. A lot of 15s and 20s. Another 15 gambling girl. Well, there's Miranda's horse is 20-1.
Ooh, 10-1. I'm pretty mischievous.
That outside draw.
Yeah.
Southlawn's 8-1. Well, that's going to make me hard not to play Southlawn. But
Here we go.
who knows if that's the actual odds? What do we got? 5.
That last
That was a very convenient typo, Magic.
Yeah.
Well,
So
and look, Wonder Wheel sitting there 5-1. I mean, she may win, but how could that horse be 5-1? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you on the 8-1 on Southlawn. I think that's an interesting price. I think that horse is probably the horse I'm most interested in, outside of the two Brad Cox horses.
I don't think we're getting 8-1 on Southlawn in this race.
I was going to say we certainly.
Oh, here we go.
We've seen this movie before. Don't take these morning lines very seriously, is what I would say. Don't jump on that and go, 8-1. That's what we'll definitely get. I don't think so. Probably gonna be more like 4 or 5.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the Oaks gets bet as well, because there's some horses in here that I feel like are below what their actual off odds are going to be. I don't think Flying Connection's actually going off at 15-1. I think you're going to see a higher price there. I think you're going to see a higher price on Darth Vader. Because of that, you would expect somebody to come in on Southlawn to pull that price down. I think Wet Paint and Botanical both get bet. But because we saw last year Rich Strike winning the Derby, what do you think the highest odds any horse will go off at this race in, Jared?
In this race?
In this race.
Well, who's a high? 30-1 on
Number 8, 9, 8.
I mean, probably in that 25 to 30-1 in that ballpark, I would say. I don't know that, because you're going to get a lot. Like, we're going to see it. We saw it in last year's Preakness after Rich Strike, right? And we're going to see it again this year in the Derby and Oaks, just because of what happened with Rich Strike, because everyone's going to be betting these long shots thinking, well, anytime you ever hear, like, you guys know in the comments of any video, well, do you guys remember last year? It's like, yeah, we remember. And people are going to remember and bet these long shots.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just noticed that the Wonder Wheel is 12-1, which that
yeah, he's just messing with us now.
Yeah.
5-1 is crazy. If you want to bet Wonder Wheel at 12-1, I understand.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you
I got a question.
Sure.
Is anyone surprised Botanical's that low? Where's he run or she?
Yeah, I get it.
He ran at Turfway, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think that horse is way too low.
I wouldn't support her at 4-1.
No.
But I do think it's probably the right line based off how she's going to be bet. I mean, it just seems like a lot of people have been talking about this horse I think it's very clearly the second choice.
Okay, let's look at Brad Cox's logic here. Why did he run that horse there?
Right.
Well, that's the big question, right? The surface switch. If you look from a numbers perspective, she fits. She's got tactical speed. It's a Cox horse he's done very well with the fillies in these type of races. So there's a lot of reasons to like Botanical from that perspective. The big time question mark is the surface switch. We're going from synthetic.
Right.
We're head over to dirt. Now we are seeing a likelihood of rain on Friday, which would kind of help Botanical. I think she would enjoy the off track. We don't know for sure, but I think that would benefit her. 4-1 does seem a little bit short. I was expecting her to be the second choice, but 4-1 kind of seems low. And that's one of these things with this specific field. It seems like it's wet paint and it's everybody else, but wet paint is going to be coming from way off it. So the question is she going to get through the traffic?
Don't you think maybe he wasn't too high on this horse and this horse has surprised him?
Yeah.
I mean, we know Pratt pretty well, or Cox pretty well.
Yeah.
This is strange to me. I don't know. I'm probably reading too much into it.
No, I think. Listen,
all right,
Brad
here we
Cox's
go.
best horses during the winter run at Fairgrounds in Oaklawn.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
boy.
And then Keeneland.
Forte draws the 15.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
First
we're on
horse,
it, huh? Okay.
First horse out of the gate. Forte goes to the 15 post. Not the worst draw in the world, but definitely not the best either.
I wish he could trade that with the stablemate Tappet Trice. Just
Tappet Trice, one of the ones. Practical Move, I'm very interested to see where he draws as well, because Practical Move needs to draw well to have any chance in this race. I am probably not going to use Practical Move anyway, because I don't think that he's able to get the distance without getting a perfect trip, and it's hard to get a perfect trip in a field of 20. But that's one where I'm interested to see where he ends up.
I think 15's not great for Forte.
Rocket Can 18.
Rocket Can goes to 18. Okay.
Bye.
Rocket Can, one of the horses that has some tactical speed. So we'll see if he's able to get out there and try and go forward. But that's, again, not a wonderful spot that you want to be in. Although there's probably a couple horses that are happy the 15 and the 18 already out of the way here.
Yeah,
for sure. For sure. Yep.
Verifying.
Ooh.
He draws the 2.
Okay. He's out.
I mean, he's going to, so Verifying is sending. That's what we just learned.
Well, I mean, and that could definitely heat up that pace for sure, because he has to send. There's no other option.
Yeah, no choice from the 2 there. I don't love that gate,
especially being a somewhat speedy horse a little bit. Now he's forced to go.
Yep.
Jace's Road goes to the 12, another horse that you would expect is going to be involved in the pace here. However, didn't press in the Louisiana Derby. I think surprised some people there.
It always feels like the 1 waits as long as it possibly can to come out.
It was the second to last one last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was down to the end.
I don't think Jace's Road is a factor either way. So that's one you wish would have drawn the rail, except for his connections, obviously. But as a gambler, it's like, okay, it didn't waste a position.
Mage draws the 8. Oh, geez.
Well, Somich, your horse drew absolutely perfect there, buddy. So.
That's right.
This is a horse that I have not wanted to pick in this race. That after watching all the replays, it makes me want to pick. The breaking thing.
Then don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it, Tom.
He's not going to beat you. Don't worry about
Mage
it.
breaks.
I love that you talked to me about Mage for 20 minutes before we got on the air, and he just drew the perfect post. That's
perfect.
fantastic.
You're really hoping he draw the 1, so you didn't have to do it.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said.
If Mays drew the 1, I'd be out. Dermisot Tagate draws the 17. This is the other horse, after watching all the replays today, that I am interested in. Dermisot Tagate has tactical speed. Showed that in Japan, went gate to wire overseas. And look, this field isn't that good. And if there was a year, this could easily be it, right, Aaron?
Yeah, absolutely. It could be it. 17 is not a great post for that horse, though, whatsoever. But he still could win from out there. But I'm kind of happy he drew there. Because
I am thrilled.
He's just the one I don't want to deal with. So if he drew 1, that would have been fine. And it's nothing against the Japanese or this horse or anything. It's just I don't know what to do with him. 17, hey, that's good. It's
perfect. That's the dreaded 17 post that gets the horse that we don't want. None of us want to pick. Japanese horse. So
that's great. Yeah, great point.
The funny part, I think I was going to pick Dermisot Tagate before this gate draw, and now I do not. Now I think I'm probably picking Mage.
I got another reason. I don't want to hear about Japan.
Kingsbarn draws the 6.
All
That's
right.
a phenomenal
Okay.
draw for Kingsbarn.
Perfect draw for Kingsbarns. If you're a big fan of him, you got to be extremely happy. And there's Michael.
There he
Huge
is.
fan of him. Great draw for Kingsbarns.
You got a jockey now, so that's great.
Aaron will not be riding Kingsbarn.
Yeah,
I was
wondering.
Kentucky Derby. Breaking
No.
news.
No.
Oh, I was hoping
Oh,
that horse
man.
would draw poorly. I really wanted Kingsbarn to draw terrible.
Well, he drew perfect, so too bad.
He did.
Angel of Empire 14.
I mean, that's not a terrible spot for
Not a
Angel.
Not
bad spot
hard.
either.
Kind of surprised how far off the pace Angel of Empire has been when watching the replays. I mean, the Angel of Empire seems like it's going to be near a dead closer in this spot.
Yeah. I think I think you wanted him outside. I think that's a pretty good post for him. I'd say that's perfect.
Number 13 goes to Sun Thunder. Anyone interested in Sun Thunder?
No.
No.
You will get the right price
I
on
would
that Kenny
be
McPeak.
I wouldn't be surprised if he got fourth or something, but not on the win spot.
Yeah.
At all.
Ooh.
I mean, so of the horses that I think are likely to take money here, we're still sitting there with Tappet Trice. We're still sitting there with Practical Move.
Yeah.
You've got Skinner, who some people are interested in. It's been interesting to see Confidence Game become the wise guy horse over the last couple days, but that horse has been a very, very steamy horse right now. And Aaron, we talked a little bit about it before we came on the live show. Confidence Game down to 12-1 in some places. Do you get it?
No, I don't. It's incredible. We were talking about how he became the horse that's working out tremendous at Churchill Downs. And again, talk about Dr. Miranda, who was there. She was blown away by him, and that may be too strong, but she was very impressed by him in the mornings. And yeah, it's definitely a wise guy horse. People are on him. But we looked at his resume right before we got on the air. You and I did, and we're like, how is this horse taking money based on his resume? There's not anything there to make you think he's some kind of great horse. So I'll be staying away from him unless he draws perfectly and Tappet Trice gets the rail. Maybe.
Interesting what we have left here, Jared. We've got the 1, we've got the 19, we've got the 20, but there's a lot of really good posts left too. I mean, the 4, the 5, the 7, the 9, the 10, they're all sitting there. Which horse do you think is most important that's left to draw to stay out of, let's say, the 1, 19, and 20?
Well, I would say, it's Tappet Trice because I think, honestly, I just stay out of the 1. I don't think I would be that off of him if he got 19 or 20. I just get him out of trouble. I mean, that's the biggest thing. He's not going to break. Let's not pretend he's going to. So it's like if you draw the 1, he's just going to get smoked out of the gate. And then, pretty much you basically are hoping that he is really good. But 19 or 20, I mean, maybe it's not totally ideal, but I think if he's the best horse, he would still be able to win from there.
I would rather be in the 19 or 20 than I would be the 1, the 3, or the 4 if I am Tappet Trice.
Yep,
I mean, he does not break at all. He's 0 for 5 breaking out of the gate.
Yep.
I could make an argument Tappet Trice is the most talented horse in this group, but just hasn't put it together yet. And that's something that we may see down the line later this year, but he needs to have some space because if he breaks inside and then just gets absolutely smashed down on, it's going to be a problem.
It's going to be a huge problem. I'm very anxious about this. He's got to get 11 to 20 somewhere on that outside that's still left. I'm totally with Somich. 1 obviously goes without saying, but 3, 4, would not be ideal. Not at all.
Those would be problem draws for him as well. Best horse that left to draw the 1. Is there any horse you wouldn't auto chuck if they draw the 1?
No.
I understand. I mean, I'm kind of like, it's just until proven otherwise. No, I just can't do it.
Hey, if he draws the 1, don't that help us handicapping this?
Well, it would. Yeah.
Well, there goes the 19. Lord Miles got 19.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
The only horse on this list that I think would have a shot out of the 1 is Practical Move. I don't like Practical Move, but he at least can get out.
well, the one thing we know about him too, he's been very comfortable racing on the inside.
Yeah.
Because that's what he's done every time. So that might be decent for him, but no, it's still not going to be great. You don't want it.
The 19 went to a non-winner, so that's good.
7 went to reincarnate. There's
draws phenomenal. Another horse is probably going to be part of this pace.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Give me 10 or 11 at this point if you're Tapit Trice. I mean,
Yes.
Yeah, this could be a disaster.
It could.
I swear I know that they don't call the one until late in these things.
Yeah, I know.
There's no way they're not.
Here we go.
Oh,
They're slowing down.
This gets nerve-wracking when you come down to this.
Confidence game draws the 4.
Okay. Well, listen, I think that's a good draw for a horse that we think is going to try to get out there and get to the front.
That more money is now coming in on confidence game.
Yep. Yep.
If you like confidence game, that's a great spot.
Yep.
Yeah, and if you add practical move to the mix, if he were to draw the 1, I'm with you. I think he's shown enough speed early in these races anyways that he would be forced to press it as well. Could juice up the speed for sure if he draws on the inside anywhere in here.
Their Skinner got number 9.
Tap
This
it.
is not good.
Come on, man.
This is not good.
Not good. I mean,
1 out of 5 chance.
Skinner going from out of the race to the 9 post. Pretty good to end up right there.
Great.
Will save me from picking Tapit Trice if he draws the 1.
That's right. That's going to make it easy.
I'm going to tell you right now, if he draws the 1, I have no idea who I'm going to pick because
Join the Mage bandwagon if you want.
no, I'm not doing it. Well, Two Phils gets the 3.
So we've got what's left here.
10, 11, 25, and 1.
Well, 10 or 11, obviously.
10 or 11 is what you want. 20
Yep.
is doable. 5 and 1, obviously, in that order.
It is amazing that this 1 post, 2 Phils, and the 3. It's amazing the 1 post comes down this late every single year.
Well, and look at the other horses that are vying for it. What does it really
It doesn't
matter?
matter.
Yeah, with them. So,
Well,
Hit
hit
show.
Show.
draws
okay,
the
that's
inside.
Woo!
I get to cross
That gives
that one.
her a big sigh of relief right there.
yeah.
I kind of liked him too, so that helps.
There you go. That
He
eliminates
was going to
one.
be on my superfecta because it's a tactical
20,
horse.
20 for this one. 20.
It was a tactical horse that I thought could get up at a price. Number 5 here. Tap
5.
it, Trice.
Ugh.
Jared,
Not
what are you
ideal, but
feeling?
it's not horrible.
It's not great.
No, but it's not horrible. 1 would have been horrible.
There's
don't
not
think
that
I
much difference between 5 and 1 for Tap it, Trice in my mind.
Yeah.
I don't
Fletcher
think I
didn't
can
like-
pick
Fletcher
him.
didn't like it.
I can't pick him at 5.
I mean, if you're a Tap it, Trice fan, you got to go back and you got to watch the break from every single one of his races, and then go watch a couple derbies to
There we
what
go.
happens
Good.
to horses
20.
that don't get out early.
So practical move is going to get a perfect position.
Yes, he is.
Who else is left? Who's the other one?
Disarm.
Um,
Oh, well, great. I'm glad he
Who
got a good
cares?
spot and not Tapit Trice.
Well, 10 and 11 are good spots. So
It doesn't matter
yeah, boy, oh boy.
which one.
It makes the Derby harder for me after the draw. I mean,
Okay, there you are.
All right, so instant reaction, Aaron. Best and worst draw.
I would have to say, I'd have to say Practical Move got the best of the draws. I think it was a very good draw for him. I think he's in a really good spot. Worst draw, I'm guessing we're saying of the contenders.
Yeah, we're not including his show.
I really think it's Tapit Trice. I think of all the contenders, if he could switch with Forte and he's 15 and Forte's down in that 5 hole, I think it makes a huge difference. But Tapit Trice, as bad as he breaks, as sluggish as he is, even if you push on him, he's going to get shuffled back a little bit farther than what he wants to be. And if you push him too much and all of a sudden he's completely out of his element and on close to the lead or something like that, that's not good either. I think he lost this draw in a big way.
I think Kingsbarn had a phenomenal draw. Kingsbarn's in that 6, I think, is a great spot for a horse that wants to be forwardly placed but doesn't want the lead. So all things coming up roses there for Kingsbarn's. I don't love Verifying's 2-post. To me, that's one where you really got to get out there now, and you're forcing Verifying to go to the front, and that's something that I think is going to be tough for him to do if he wants to win the race. I don't think Verifying's going to be able to take this field gate to wire. I think he had to sit just off it to be able to win the race, and I don't see that happening from the 2-post. Papa Dude, best and worst draw.
Well, let's see. I didn't consider 2 to win anyway, so that doesn't bother me. I think Mage got a pretty good draw right there at 8. That's perfect for a horse like that one. So I think he did. Obviously, Practical Move's got to be thrilled. I don't think Fortes is bad, and I don't think Angel of Empires is bad either. What do you think about the 17?
Yeah, that's
Is
bad.
that bad?
Yep.
Yeah, that would be one I think's bad. Did anybody think anything about the 18, Rocket Can? Did anybody like that horse? Because if you did, I don't think that's very good either. So
No.
If they're racing the slowest times wins, I like him a lot. He's like the poor man's version of Tapit Trice. He kind of looks like him, but then you look closer and you're like, oh, he's kind of a turd.
Yeah.
well,
Lots of interesting draws here. A lot of speed on the inside too. I mean, that's the other thing I think that kind of jumps out at you here. Everybody who wants to be forwardly placed outside of Derma Sotagate is the 10-post in. So how does that affect the pace here, Jared? Do you think that makes it faster?
I was just looking at that because I'm trying, obviously I'm already working out the trip for, I'm going to call Luis and tell him how I think he should ride this horse. No, working out the trip for Tapit and thinking, okay, well, there's a lot of horses to his inside that are going to want to go, right? And obviously going to need to go as well. King's Barnes, who obviously is stable mate, that will help a little bit as far as tactics, what's going to do. He's going to break better than Tapit Trice. So yeah, I think seems like a lot of pace. Seems like Practical Move. If things could go well for Mage, if he could break, could sit a really nice trip from that 8 spot. That's a big if. But yeah, I do think that it's going to reincarnate as well. A horse that's going to go, or at least be forwardly placed. So it may not, just initially looking at it, I was worried. It may not be the worst, as bad as I thought for Tapit Trice. I do think a lot of the horses are going to be going out next to him, so he's shouldn't get too squeezed early on.
What about Continuar in the 20, Aaron? Does this horse send?
I mean, based on what you saw last year, yeah. I think the Japanese horses just ruined the Derby in a lot of ways, at least the pace of the Derby last year. So yeah, I do think he sends. He isn't a presence in this race as far as, being competitive based on his past performances. So I think when you are that kind of horse, you do draw the 20. I think he just sends to the front. So, yeah, I do think he'll go straight to the front, try to speed things up a little bit. Look, I look at those first 10 horses. 8 of them are going to outbreak Tapit Trice. I kind of disagree with Jared. I think the trip's going to be rough.
It's not just that 8 of them outbreak; it's that the other 10 on the outside outbreak him too, and they crush over on him. And that's it's. I think he'll be in last.
I have trouble. The move he made of the backstretch of the Bluegrass was so great, but he also got himself in somewhat of a position so he could make that move of the backstretch. I'm worried that they'll try to make the same move with him, but he's going to have a lot farther to go to get there is my problem.
It's also a lot easier to be on a 48 pace when there's 11 horses in the field and you only have to pass about, 6 horses to get there versus when there's 20 and you're 7 wide if you make that same move.
He was 6th or 7th and passed 4 or 5 of them to get in the absolute perfect position. I'm afraid here he's going to be 18th or 19th. He's going to have to pass 15 of them to get in that position. That's what scares me to death on him.
Dude, but 15 to 1 on Jace's Road. What is he smoking?
We've got the morning line out here. Forte
that is
called.
The worst morning line, and that's saying something because I've seen some bad morning lines at Keeneland this year. That's the worst morning line I've seen.
It's an interesting choice. All right, 3 to 1 Forte going to be your morning line favorite here. Irad Ortiz, Todd Pletcher, Tapit Trice. Your second choice on the board at 5 to 1. I don't necessarily disagree that Tapit Trice will be the second most bet horse. So I don't hate the idea that this is your second favorite, although it's not it's someone that I'm all that interested in now. Angel of Empire, your third choice on the board at 8 to 1. Then we've got Practical Move at 10 to 1. King's Barn, 2 fills at 12 to 1. I thought I was going to get a lot better price than that at 2 fills. And then we've got a smattering of horses here at 15 to 1. Aaron, first thing, what jumps out at you here from the more odds perspective?
Well, I think Jared's right. 15 to 1 on Jace's Road is odd. Let's just put it that way. That's pretty crazy. Angel of Empire at 8 to 1. It almost, in a way, kind of is forcing my hand to take a really hard look at him, because I think he drew really well for the running style that I think he's going to have, outside of a lot of horses. So him at 8 to 1 is enticing. If you like King's Barnes, 12 to 1 is kind of enticing on him. So look, I think honestly, once you get past Forte and Tappa Trice, pick your poison. All these horses are enough value to play them, and you're just going to have to make some decisions on some of these longer price ones.
Yeah,
I think Practical Move at 10 to 1 is somebody you got to look at.
I agree. Yeah, those are good odds on a horse.
Let me ask you this:
Mhm.
how much does the jockey trainer figure into that 10 to 1 on Practical Move?
Yeah, a lot. I would say a lot.
We all know Ramon.
Yeah, we know Ramon, but the national
Other people don't.
Yeah, they don't know Ramon quite as well as we do. So I think that makes a difference. And listen, Tim Yakteen brought a couple of horses over here that people were high on. They did not do any running.
Yep.
I think when you look back at it, that wasn't really his fault. Messier was not a very good horse, as it turned out.
Yep.
And you had a horse in Taba who wasn't ready for the Derby yet, right? So but I still think people will hold that against Tim Yakteen.
Yeah, I do too.
Coming in this race. Yeah.
I hope the Practical Move gets bet. I got no interest in this horse after watching all the replays. The distance is going to be a problem. The trip is going to be a bigger issue than what we've seen the last 2 races for Practical Move. I'm a little interested in Skinner at 20 to 1 as someone who I think can hit the board as a long shot. I don't think he can win the race, but draws really well in that 9 post, is able to sit mid pack and has some type of closing kick. Didn't love that he wasn't able to get by in the Santa Anita Derby, but one of those at that price that I think has a shot at hitting the board here. Boy,
Skinner's one I've been back and forth on, but he did draw really well. Gets a new jock too. I think that could help. Juan Hernandez, very good jockey. I think he'll come over and give him a good ride. With Skinner, it's just like, how in the hell did you not win last time out?
Yep.
And do you go, well, maybe they're just saving him for the big one and he's going to be able to finish, or you go, well, if you can't finish that time, how are you going to finish in the Kentucky Derby? So I'm back and forth between what to do with him, but 20 to 1 gives you a little bit of leeway there. That's a really square price on him.
It is. I don't think the horse can win, but I think it's a really good underneath type horse. All right, let's talk about Mage, because that's who I want to talk about. Jared, what does Mage go off at? 15 to 1 right now on the morning line in that 8 post. Is that about where we're going to see?
I think you might get him to 10 to 1, maybe, if you're lucky. Well, not lucky for you, but there'd be a lot of interest in that horse. I don't know. I think that this horse is. I talked about this horse when we did our previews for each one. It's like you kind of, if you like Forte, he's the favorite of the Kentucky Derby. You got to like Mage a little bit, right? I mean, he's ran against him twice. He about beat him. Probably should have beat him last time out.
But he didn't.
My concern is I just don't like, all bets are off if he breaks well. If he breaks well and I'm against him, I'm going to be worried, because I do think he's a wild card, because I do think he's got a ton of ability. If he can't break, if he misses the break again, I'm sorry to tell you, Somich, you're hoping you hit the board at that point.
Yes, the best case scenario is what we saw in the Florida Derby if he doesn't break, and it's going to be a heck of a lot harder to do that in this field of 20 here, especially if he's all the way in the back, which is what he was in that Florida Derby. Aaron, Dermisol Degate, 10 to 1, 17 post, good draw, bad draw, 10 to 1 about the right off odds. Do you think we're going to see some money come in because of how well Japan has done in a horse racing perspective across the world in the last 2 years?
Yeah, you might see a tick down or two on that. I do think the 17 is going to make a difference in the betting, though, without any doubt. I do think also most people at Churchill Downs have said he's been kind of awkward, kind of odd in the morning, and shit like that gets bet. So I think 10-1 is probably right. I don't hate that line at all. If he goes down to 8-1, 7-1, 6-1, I'm not going to be completely shocked because they will take money. These Japanese horses have been running very, very well. They also have a lot of support. And I know the pools they are betting in don't actually come to us, but there will also be some support on him here stateside as well from the Japanese contingent. So I think 8-1 probably at the lowest he goes off at.
Papa Dude, we know you're the biggest Steve Asmussen fan in this stream right now. Disarm draws the 11, 30-1 on the morning line. You get Asmussen and Joel Rosario at 30-1 in the Kentucky
I was just
Derby.
sitting here thinking, this is probably the worst Kentucky Derby horse he's ever entered.
Wouldn't it be fitting if he
And
finally
wouldn't it be fitting if he won with this horse? I was thinking that, I don't see any way the horse wins. I just don't see. But wouldn't that be something when he's had so many logical winners and then this one doesn't seem like it? I don't see a scenario he can win, though. I really don't.
All right. Jared, let's jump down to you real quick. Who is going to go off as the longest price? That's a question we've got going on at the chat. What is the longest priced horse in the field?
Probably Raise Cane. Maybe Raise Cane or Lord Miles. Maybe one of those. I think Continuar is going to get bet just because it's the Japanese horse. The other Japanese horse. I get it, but those Japanese horses get bet. So I think it's one of those. Would have been Jace's Road if they didn't put him at freaking 15-1. So no, I think it's one of those two. Sun Thunder will be bet a little bit because it's Kenny McPeak. I just have a hard time believing Raise Cane is going to get too much action. Lord Miles either. So one of those two, I'd guess.
I like the Lord Miles call. I think because Raise Cane at least won a prep. I mean, I realize Lord Miles won the last prep there in the Wood as well, but I don't see Safi and Paco Lopez getting a ton of money here, especially from that 19 post. Aaron, who do you think the biggest price on the board is going to be?
I lean Raise Cane as well. As poorly as he ran in that last prep in the Bluegrass, and Ben Colebrook and Corrales, two guys obviously people watching the stream might know, but the general public have no idea where it's Safi and Paco. I mean, I know someone who just bets Paco Lopez blindly at times, and I was standing next to that person who cashed a ticket on Lord Miles in the Woods. So that Paco money, I think, won't make him the longest shot. Give me Raise Cane as well as the longest shot.
Papa Dude?
I totally agree. That lack of name recognition, that's the rich strike of this year. Wouldn't you say?
What odds does Raise Cane go off at then, Aaron? We talked about this in the Oaks. What's the highest odds horse in the Derby?
Like 30-1, probably, or a little less. Oh, these long shots are going to take a lot of blind money. So yeah, I think you're not going to see a horse float up to the rich strike level of odds for a long, long time.
I would set the under over at like 44.5, somewhere in that range for what you're going to see the biggest price. It is a 20 horse field, so you're going to naturally see some horses float up, but it doesn't feel like we're going to get any ridiculous prices here, Jared. All right, let's ask the big question. We've got about 7 minutes left, somewhere in that range on the stream. We now have a Kentucky Derby field. You know what's coming. We'll start with you, Jared.
No, I don't know.
Who's your pick?
Oh, boo, boo, boo.
I reserve the right to. This is not a firm pick, by the way. I now that the post positions have been drawn, I'm a little bit more. It's funny. I kind of posted it on Twitter, like, hey, what do you think of the draw? Who won? And it's so funny. Like, some people are like, Tappet Trice won the draw. Some people are like, he lost the draw. Like, which way is it? And that seems like the way it's been with him all along. It's like you either love him or hate him. If I had to make a pick right now with this field based on where they drew, I would probably lean towards Angel of Empire. I hate to say it. He was on my fence, and that post position I think for him is going to be really good.
So write there down in pen for Angel of Empire to win the Kentucky
No,
Derby.
no, I gotta hear it whenever my picks come out and it's not Angel of Empire. They're like, he's changing his picks.
Aaron, way too early, even though it's only 5 days out. Kentucky Derby pick.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a clue.
Well, you got to make a pick. You can't give
Yeah, at
Jared
least I
shit
had
for
more
not making a
conviction
pick
than
and then not make
Alderman,
one.
Tang.
I'll take a continue R right now. That's what I'm doing now. I listen. I told you I didn't have a clue when we started, and it's first time ever that I like. So you're always like, okay, maybe I'm between 2-3 horses when you come into this draw. It's like, okay, now we got to decide. This was the first time ever I came into the draw. I was like, I could pick like 12 different ones coming into this thing. Obviously, the horse I liked the best, as far as I think he's the best horse, is Tapit Trice. I don't think that's ideal at all, and so I got to go searching a little bit and try to find something. I like the Angel of Empire pick. I think he did draw very well for his running style. I kind of lean Practical Move a lot more than I did because I think he got the perfect draw. But yeah, I guess I'll go Angel of Empire right now, and we'll kind of see how it goes today and tomorrow.
Yeah, it was interesting going into this morning before I watched all the replays. Angel of Empire was my pick. Angel of Empire drew really well. Give me Mage. I'm putting Mage on top right now because the horse is full of talent. Is 15-1. Just missed a Forte last time. It was 3-1. Has only been around 2 turns twice. Now we're going around the third time. If Mage breaks, Mage is a huge problem in this race. Breaking is also a huge problem for Mage. So we'll see what happens there. Papa Dude, who you got?
Well, I'm not going to hum all around. How about that? And you didn't either, Mike. That's pretty good. Okay, I am very simple handicapper. If I get too bogged down in everything, I just get totally confused. So I'm on Forte all the way. I look at the record, 6 for 7. Okay, that crosses a T. That's good. I look at the trainer, Todd Pletcher. That crosses a T. That's good. I look at the jockey. Oh, yeah, Irad Ortiz Jr. That crosses a T. And then a lot of people didn't like the race at the Florida Derby. I did, because that horse was beat. He was beat. I don't think he got a good ride, and I'm not blaming Irad. I don't think he got a good ride. Good trip. I guess it would be a good trip. He still had the guts and the courage to win a race. He was beat in. I've not seen any of the other do that. I'm on Forte all the way.
Yeah, if Papa Dude bust out his hat, he would have one name in that hat.
That's right.
We would know Forte would be coming out of there.
He's been on Forte for all year, and he has not wavered. And I was texting him right after the Florida Derby because you're out of your mind. He ran fantastic. Like you're way overreacting. He won, and he looked like he had no business winning, and he won. And we'll see. Listen, after the draw, I'm more about him than I was. Because some of the other horses that I kind of like better than him didn't draw all that well. So who knows? I may be with you, Papa Dude.
Do I worry
It's going to be a great
Toronto?
race. It really is setting up as a classic, no doubt about it.
It definitely. I saw Dr. Tang mention it earlier, and it's kind of the same. It's a feeling I've had all year, Dr. Tang, where it's like everyone's like all uncertain and we don't know who to pick, and then it's like Forte wins for fun. Like it's just like, oh, he was the best horse. He was the best horse all year, and turns out he was still the best horse.
Yeah, a lot of people knocking Forte on the Florida Derby effort, the fact that his buyer number goes down, his time form number goes down a little bit. Rewatch that race if you have not rewatched it. Every single competitor was 3 and 4 wide the entire time in that race. The time came back slower because of the trips and the ground covered for everybody. So you're going to naturally get a lower figure on both time form and buyer because of the time and the way that race was won. So I'm not going to knock Forte for his Florida Derby. I thought it was actually an impressive job to be able to have to wait for Mage to pass him and then run after him and go catch him in that final 16th of a mile.
Yep.
Would you, based off the post positions as well, I think I just thought coming into today, it's confirmed with seeing these posts. Like, to me, the 2 horses that you could probably most depend on in the stretch, thinking you're probably going to win this thing, is Practical Move and Forte. I don't know. I just feel like both those horses are true horses. They're going to run their race. They're going to be right there. I just don't know that they can get the job done. We'll find out. But I trust both of those horses probably more than anyone else in the race.
It's funny you said that, because our buddy Ryan Stillman, he said, if you want to be safe and pick a horse that isn't going to make you look dumb, pick Forte. He's gonna run. You know he's gonna run his race. He said, and you're might be right. He might finish second or third because he's not gonna make you look dumb. He's gonna show up, and you're gonna think he's gonna win. And we talked about it with John, and you're right, Jared. Practical move. Every time he's turned for home, it's like, yeah, this is the winner, right? And he's probably gonna look like that again.
I've got serious distance concerns with practical move.
I mean, I'm not picking
Derby. He wanted no part of that, and now we're going to go a mile and a quarter. That last furlong was looking real scary for him with Mage and Mandarin Hero breathing down his neck. It's going to be a fun Derby. I kind of agree with the chat. You could run this race 10 times. You could have 10 different winners. Like this is wide open in my opinion. I agree that Forte is the most proven horse and the best horse we've seen so far. But Forte's trip is not going to be easy here. He's going to have to run a very good race to be able to get the job done.
I gotta tell you something, Somich. I just remembered this, and you're gonna like this. So the other day, I was talking to the boys, and I was asking them who they thought might win the Kentucky Derby. I said, well, they're not haven't drew posts yet, but what number? 1 through 20. What do you think? And shout out to Cohen, who had surgery today and is doing well. But he asked me, or he said, I think I'll pick the number 8.
Smart.
And I said, well, they don't know yet. I don't know who it is yet, but whoever it is, I will look at for you. And now you're sitting here spouting off about them, and now I'm gonna have to really.
There you go.
Mage might be my pick. I don't know.
Well, listen, can I make Somich? Can I make one case
for whom?
Just if you love Mage,
okay,
don't you have to like Forte better than Mage? I mean,
yes, I do, but I get 5 times the price on Mage.
There we go. All right,
and I'm going to use Forte in the try and the super for 100%.
Okay,
and to be fair, I may end up picking Angel of Empire or Dermasotogate as well, because both of those, even with Dermasotogate in the 17, which I realize not a wonderful post, the horse has tactical speed. And when you watch all of these races from the U.S. horses, the thing that stands out is this isn't that good of a class. It's just not. You don't have a world beater in here. You don't have a Justify. You don't have someone that you're like, oh crap, that's a really good horse. And so if there is a time where we see someone come over from UAE, when we see a Japanese horse win, I wouldn't be shocked if it's this year, considering what we have here in the U.S. I mean, Aaron, if we talked about this a little off the stream, there are 4 or 5 horses that are not in this race that would probably be the second to third pick in this race had they made it.
Yep.
So that kind of means it's a year where you could get one of these more interesting horses to be able to pop up and win the race.
Fair point. I mean, Cave Rock.
Great idea, Kevin. I'm just saying.
Well, that is a good idea.
Can we run through this and everyone at one point we've all said a horse that we're picking, and then we can just air back the clip after the race. See, we said it.
Yeah, I like it.
We told you Ray's Kane was going to win.
No, we can't go back on that one.
That's right. Play the clip where I said he'll be the worst horse of the race.
Go Rocket Ride. A great example.
Yeah, Go Rocket Ride.
I mean, we don't get to see him. Loggins we haven't seen since way back when. Cave Rock obviously doesn't make the race. I mean, I'm leaving horses off here that have through this process been horses that have a huge shot, and they're just not here.
Yep. No, not here. And even an Arabian Night would have looked good here. All these horses would have looked good. And it's just one of those things that 90% of the horses that got hurt or dropped out early or getting going late all have tactical speed. The trip that makes it the easiest to win the Derby, they're all out. And so that's why you're left with a Dermasotogate or a King's Barnes who, maybe he's great, but maybe he's not, and that they all have question marks.
Yeah. I mean, Extra Neho, Arabian Night, Newgate. I mean, more horses that aren't in here that we haven't seen. So just a lot of horses that you could have seen in this race that aren't in this race. What was that, Jared?
You lost me at Newgate, but other than that, I'm with you.
Well, Just giving Michael Olson some credit here for this horse to be listed out there. So
You almost
make the list. Interesting question from Silver Charm. 47.2 over under on the first half there. I will take the under. Aaron?
Since they're drawn inside, I think they're drawn kind of next to each other. A lot of the speed horses, I will take the under. I think they'll speed it up a little bit.
Papa dude?
Under. I think it'll be the under also.
Jared?
Yeah, it's under. I think the Derby is, everyone wants to always say it's going to be slow, and then it's always faster than you think. So at least the first, quarter, first half. So yeah, I'll go under.
Yeah, with 20 horses, you're going to get some horses that decide to push, right? So we'll see what happens there. Vicky, thank you very much for joining us. Great to see you in the chat there. We will be live all week talking Kentucky Derby news here. So 9 a.m. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I think Friday we will be live at 9 a.m. to talk Kentucky Derby. We will have a live show Friday for the Kentucky Oaks and the undercard races there. We'll have a live show Saturday for the Kentucky Derby and the undercard races there. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you know when we go live for those days. We'll be talking right up to the race. If you want to know the final pick, we will all obviously make one right before the race there. We can see the odds in real time. Make sure you check out racingdudes.com for all your horse racing needs. The Kentucky Derby guide is up there. And if you want to buy the Derby and Oaks guide, those are available as well. If you combine the two, I think it's $50, right, Jared?
Yep, $49.95. Right now, the betting Bible is available at Racing Dudes. Analysis of all 20, every horse in this race now, and plus the also eligibles are included in that, available now. Halter and I, of course, now that the field is drawn and these undercards are going to be drawn, we're going to get to work on, crafting the bets. Everybody, including everybody on the show, Papa Dude and Somich, Magic, Dr. Miranda, Vinny from Real Dynasty. Everyone's going to have top 4 picks for every race on Friday and Saturday as well. So yeah, we got a ton of work. That's the thing. It's fun, but as soon as the draw comes out, a lot of sitting and waiting. Now we got to get to work.
Yeah. Real quick, Jason said, when do the Bible updates start coming? So we do not know the full fields for the 2 days just yet. We just know the Oaks and the Derby. That'll come out later tonight. We'll give the guys all Tuesday to handicap. Wednesday, we'll put it all together. Hopefully it comes out Wednesday night, Thursday morning, somewhere around in there. Give us a couple of days, though. 27 races, I think, in total. I think there'll be 13 Saturday or Friday, 14 Saturday. So, give us some time. We're not going to rush it, but we'll have it out there for you before the day before the race for sure.
My favorite is when we get emails like last week and hey, I can't figure out where are the picks. We're like, well, we don't even know who's in the race yet. I get that you guys like to make picks early, but let's let us look at the field first. Wouldn't you want that, Papa Dude? If you bought something, wouldn't you want the analysis as close as to the race day as you can get?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, especially for a guy like me that didn't start thinking about it till today.
Yeah. When I said we got to give people time, I meant Papa Dude specifically. We got to give him time.
He just remembered the Derby was this week. So
I remembered it, but I didn't. Right? Why are we analyzing this yet? We don't even know what the draw is. So.
All right, make sure you check out racingdudes.com over on YouTube as well. We've got capsules up for every single Kentucky Derby contender, so you can find out what we each think of them. And like I said, make sure you're joining us every morning, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, for a live Derby show talking about all of the news that goes down. We'll talk about the draw tomorrow. We'll talk about some of the undercard races tomorrow as well as we go through this process. Thank you very much for joining us here on our Kentucky Derby live and Kentucky Oaks live post-draw coverage. We will be back live all week. There'll be a ton of videos over on YouTube, ton of content. Magic is working on his pace analysis there as well, so make sure you check that out. Be live with the Magic Mike Show on Thursday, live with Blinkers Off on Thursday, live with Dudes Who Bet Sports throughout the week, I'm sure, from Aaron and Papa Dude there as well. Going to be a busy week. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, YouTube.com/Racing Dudes for all of that content. Make sure you head over to racingdudes.com for all of your horse racing needs. Thank you very much for joining us, everybody. Good luck in the Kentucky Derby.
RacingDudes.com is your home for the best free picks for every race, every track across the country. We're ramping up for the 2023 Kentucky Derby, and we want you to join us in the fun. Subscribe to Racing Dudes YouTube channel, click the notification bell so you never miss a single video. Want to make money betting horses? Bet with the Racing Dudes.